Okay, we're going to call the Dustin Fire Control District special meeting to order. We're here at the Airport Road location, 848 Airport Road. It's May 26, 2021 at 9 a.m. First item on the agenda is for public comment. Being as there's no public comment, we'll close that. And next item is to discuss and take any and all actions related to construction or remodel of the new fire station and purchase of new fire apparatus. Chief?
Yes, sir. There's a couple of items that we're needing the board's assistance on to make a decision or provide guidance for. The first one's the temporary structure. We emailed the board the one bid that we received so that you can have that for review. I want the board to know we did email and send this RFP to quite a few companies to ensure that multiple companies did receive it, so in hopes that we would get back more bids. We did receive only the one officially from Dalton, and there were several items missing from his packet when he turned it in, and it was only one bid. So based upon our rules and regs, the board, because it's only one bid, can reject it because it's only one. And then this captain, there's several of the items that were there specifically that he did not fill with what we were asking for. And there was also another bid that did come in that was not presented to the board because it did not come in as it was supposed to via mail, sealed envelope, or hand dropped off, sealed envelope written on the outside appropriately and all that. We received it via email. So that one we called them and told them we couldn't do that. So that we did receive two, but only one could actually be considered. And that's the one that you had before you. One of the questions that we did have, as you can see on page 3, where we wrote down, are they built their price quote in, you'll see it says price proposal total is 96. It's actually, and we had to get this confirmed from them what that price was, because based upon our read of what we see here, the price is actually over $170,000 to install to provide us with what we asked for. So I think that's too much. I'm confident we can get it done for less, and I know the one that we received via email, although it's not an official bid, I know that's one that was significantly less.
I think 96,000 is too high.
Yeah, I mean, those numbers add up to 96,000. Why do you think it's more?
And Catherine received a response from Dalton, so she can probably elaborate more when they responded to exactly what their cost was. But they did confirm that the total cost is $173,000 is the install. Because when we looked at the additional options or optional, they answered our question and said, no, the install price was what you guys asked for. We think when they looked at the RFP, and I'll let Ms. Catherine clarify or clear anything that I might miss. When they looked at the RFP, they thought there was a group that was options. That wasn't options. Those were requirements.
Okay.
Those are things that we needed there. They listed them as options and not requirements. So they said, no, your price then is $173. Oh, okay. Because that actually was what we asked for, and it was clear. The RFP, we're not sure how they got there, but when we look at the RFP, it's not ambiguous. It's fairly clear. I mean, it's not fairly clear, it's clear.
That answers my second question.
Yes.
Where's the 76,000? It's not options you're saying is part of the cost. And now where you get to. So for 180,000, we could build a metal building there for temporary, tear it down, throw it away, build another metal building over here and be done for a lot less money, right?
Correct. The other bidder that we did not put before the board and was not considered because it did not come in was a fabric structure, just like this one, that can be. The intent is to build it here, designed to be able to be taken down and reinstalled back over here. Their price quote was in the 80s. So the key total And we confirmed it with them, because when we got a bid in, we can't do this, but we did have a couple of conversations with them to say, what is it? So that we have better understanding of, because none of us are obviously experts in that field of these type of structures. So we asked questions of all of them.
If we took a different approach and built just a metal structure with no idea of moving it, but we're careful about, say, the doors and stuff we put in, they could be reused in our permanent structure. Is that a good assumption?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And then, that was conversations I had with staff too. It's the same thing. They probably build multiples at that cost and just be a metal butler style building.
What's the next step, Chief?
If board rejects it and directs me to, and I can have something back to the board, or I would anticipate by our regular board meeting with a couple of price options, because it's over 10 grand. I won't be able to pull the trigger on it. I have to bring it back to the board to get the board to pull the trigger on it. So I can put together some price quotes from a company, a couple of companies, and then ask the board to make a call on which one they prefer for us to go with, and then make that happen, including the other fabric structure. And it'll also give me an opportunity to kind of negotiate with any of those companies in the best interest of the district to try to get the best product for the best price.
Motion. I move that we do not accept the Dalton Brothers bid for the temporary structure. It being too expensive.
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion and a second.
I'd like to also put in there that maybe Jack, we had the chief direct him to go and get the options to bring back to the board.
Yeah, certainly.
Continue. Call for the vote. All in favor?
Thank you. And then the other decision that really kind of needs to be made today, and these two things, for the reason we really need to have a meeting today, is that we rejected the other boat lift bid that had come in. We went out and we weren't able to, I kind of told the board that I was hoping that we might have a lead on a lightly used, but never lifted a boat lift. But we found out it didn't meet the pounds that we needed, but we thought it might have been a 12, it ended up being a 9, and we thought we could get under 10, anyway, all of that didn't work out. So the individual we were talking to was Frank Davis, that had the lead on that. I asked Frank to give me a quote on what an install that we were originally looking at would cost, what he could do it for. And Frank come back with a quote, and you'll see it there in front of you, of 14 grand an install. We also provided you with Breeze, which was their initial price quote of 18. My recommendation would be that the board direct me to work with Frank Davis in order to be able to get this accomplished. We've had conversations with him, and he can get the lift ordered. Normal's 4 to 6 weeks. He specifically spoke with the manufacturer of the lift. And the manufacturer said he can get it to us in 4 to 6. He's going to continue to talk to them and see if he can get that even expedited more, and get it cut down. But when I looked at it, I looked at the overall price and went, that's $4,000 less than the other one. And he's a local guy that works in the area, he's lived in Destin all his life from this general area. So my recommendation would be to recommend guidance to work with Frank to get the lift installed.
Will Frank provide us similar warranties as we're getting from Breeze? Because now we're into the new area with Frank, right?
Yes, sir. It's a new lift, it's all of it, yes, sir.
So we have the same kind of warranties?
Yes, sir.
Who made the motion?
I'll second.
Frank Davis.
I'll second. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion? Call for the vote. All in favor? None.
And that's really the only two things that were on the table. We have the RFP has been released, it's out. We give them 6 weeks, we just released it. So it will probably be, what's the closing date?
June 24th.
Okay, so the meeting just soon thereafter, we'll bring that back to the board, so the board make a decision. Same as we did on the temporary structure, we sent it out to as many people as we could but we wanted it to be out there because we're trying to look for the best price possible, best interest of the district. So we sent it to everybody, and I know we made the board aware that it has been released. And if there's anybody that you know that might be interested, we got it on our website, and then they can pull the RFP from there to be able to submit it to us. So if you know anybody that might be interested in the remodel, or might be interested in the new construct, or might be interested in both, to be able to, point them toward our website, as well as you can point them toward the staff can then work with them to ensure they get all the stuff they need. And any questions that are ever asked, we're trying to keep it so that everybody gets the same answer. So if Billy Bob asks a question and we provide an answer to Billy Bob, if we know that we have these multiple people interested, bidders that are potentially going to bid, we'll make sure we give the answer to everybody, so nobody has an advantage over the other.
So it has been sent out.
Yes, sir.
When was it sent?
It was released on Monday,
Released on Monday, and when is the deadline?
26.
June 24th.
4th, June 24th.
And there is a mandatory bidders meeting on Tuesday, June 1st.
Because we wanted to make sure that, Ms. Catherine and I talked about how we kind of want to proceed. Instead of, we don't want a lot of guessing. We want to make sure that they fully understand what we're looking for, and they have the opportunity to look over all of our facilities. So we'll have a meeting that will cover the remodels as well as the new construct. We'll do it all in one day. Those that aren't interested in the remodel don't have to listen to that part. So we're going to have one day where we bring all those potential bidders in and say, this is the structure, this is what we're looking for, and any questions, ask it now. We'll write those questions down, email it to everybody, but we'll answer them all there. So we want to bring them into this station for the remodel projects we have going here. Station 10, we'll bring them in at the Bay House, the old the wedding venue, but the actual Bay House, we'll bring them into that, walk them through, show them everything, and then show them the property. We'll have that marked out where we generally think it's going to be located, the size of it, and then that way we can answer everything before they actually turn their paperwork in. So if one asks a question, it's in front of the rest of the group of bidders, and everybody gets the same answer. And I think it's going to help them with being able to see the actual projects themselves.
Chief, just a suggestion for.
Yes, sir.
It would be useful, I think, if we had in the record the actual number of RFPs that went out.
Okay.
You described this one as, I think, multiple and several.
Yes, sir. We have the numbers.
6,
I just
8,
didn't
10,
put them
12,
out.
15,
Yes,
I
sir.
think would be good. And the number we hope is fairly large on this one, and I think that ought to be in the record.
Yes, Ms. Catherine, do you remember the number for each one of those? Probably not the remodel, but I know we just recently sent the other one out, and I think you sent it to 10 or 12, or there was a group.
That is correct, approximately 10 or 12, that it is one RFP that went out for remodel and design build, and it was very specific in there to tell bidders that they do not have to bid on all of the projects
Right.
within, but it was approximately 10, 12 sent.
So we do have the number, and we're going to continue to keep track. So unfortunately, we can't, if somebody comes and pulls off the website, we won't know. But if we have a conversation with somebody, we're going to add it. We do get requests, and that's why when we sent the email to the commission, if you had anybody that might be interested, let us know.
Right.
And that's so that we can keep track of it, because we get requests, public records requests for listed bidders, and we don't know who the bidders are yet until they actually bid, but so that way we can kind of keep track of all those that we have sent it to or provided it to. Those that get it off our website, we won't know. But anybody we talk to, we put them on a list of at least interested
Okay,
or aware.
one quick question. I'm missing something here. We sent the RFP out to have two things done. One wood, one concrete. But we sent it to 10 or 12 of who? Contractors?
Companies, contractors, we sent it to, we did a Google search of those in the general area, and come up with a list from that and send it to all of those, whether they be interested or not. We want to make sure we hit as many people as we could.
Not an attorney, but I just got a quick question.
Mhm.
is there a possibility of some kind of a issue with us by sending it out to a select people and not every contractor in the county? Meaning, I guess what I'm saying, if I'm Joe and you guys got it sent to you and I didn't know anything about it, and y'all got to bid on it, I didn't. You guys got privilege of knowing about it, but I didn't. I'm just asking the question to protect us.
That's not the only way we notify everybody. We meet all the minimum requirements that the state has upon us. So
Okay.
we advertise it and put it out. It's not the only means to get it to them.
Got
So we do all of that, which is the minimum that the state requires to ensure that we're covered as far as the law is. And then we ensure that we
Okay.
send it out to as many as we can think of. If there's somebody out there that we might have missed, that somebody knows about, we want to know, because we'll send it to them, because we don't care. We want everybody to have it.
So this department sent it out to contractors in our area. Perfect, okay, just asking.
We've advertised it, have we not?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, that's was the official advertised date. That's when the release date, when we call it release date, that's the date it was advertised.
Is it on our local, Facebook page by any chance?
No, it is not on the.
Website it is, but it's not yet, but we will put it on.
Yeah, the only reason I'm asking is because obvious it's a local area and everybody that's on our Facebook page is locals and they might say, hey, Bob, I don't know if you know it, but
Yep.
you know, they're getting ready to put some out for bid. You might want to go, it's just another source.
I like that.
We try to do something.
Thank you. We'll make sure we put it on Facebook. We put it on our website. We didn't put it on Facebook. We'll do that today. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely. We want to get to, and obviously we want to get to as many people as possible.
And I prefer local if we have the option. I'd much rather get somebody local than I would somebody from out of town.
Yes, sir.
If we have that.
We've talked about that many times about trying to, we're going to spend our money. We'd like to spend our money as low as we can. Indestinate one thing, but, you know, it's always best for the dollar.
I'm good, thank you.
Yes, sir. And that's, everything else is progressing. Some things are a little bit more difficult to work through this. I'm finding UTVs are very difficult to get our hands on. I don't know, pandemic issues or something.
Supply chain's all screwed up, everything like that.
It is, and somebody always talks about its chips. So, you know, the manufacturer of computer chips or something. But either way, we're working diligently to make sure everything happens. So regardless, again, I'll reemphasize before it comes to July 1, we'll be running out of that station.
What sort of UTV are you looking at? Like a Rhino 4x4 side-by-side seating or?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we only need,
So
so what we're looking at really is a two-seater. Although, you know, four-seater would be great, but what we're finding is really it's a two-seater because we're going to put a module on the back where most of them have a dump bed or something. That will come off, what I would call a patient transport module on the back, and it'll have a seat with it. So there's your 3 seats for the 3 folks down there, along with a patient transport area. When it's not a patient transport, that's where they'll put the bags and bumper gear when they're going to the boat. When they have a patient, obviously that's where they put the patient and medic sits next to them.
Well, you're an alternative, you can't get one,
Yes, sir.
and you can do your patient transport module in a small trailer.
Yes, sir.
I've got a Yamaha 550 sitting in the garage doing nothing. I brought it back from my farm. It's got like 50 hours on it. I loan it to the department, gift it to the department, whatever you want.
That's a blessing.
So that's a fallback.
I will
It's
talk,
already red too, by the way.
I will make sure that I'll make sure we're talking about that before then, because that's going to be a blessing, because what we're finding is that we're going to have to do something like that, or a rental or something, because what we're finding is we can't get a UTV in the timeframe we're needing. It's just,
They're not out there.
they're not. They're not. They're just not there. So, but we have located, fortunate for us, to a degree, we did locate the sheriff's contract that the sheriff puts out to the state to do the RFP process for us, just like the state contracts do. And the sheriff here recently started carrying UTVs. So unfortunately, there's a waiting list, and it doesn't matter. We can't get them any quicker, but the price is a lot better for us.
Yeah.
So we're probably going to end up purchasing it through them, but the delay is going to be, I can't even give an idea. They can't give us an idea when they're going to get them. So, Mr. Wilson, we'll end up talking because we're probably going to need to utilize that. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
We can make it happen.
I've got a 10-foot trailer too behind you.
Okay, I like that. That'll work, but that's we're continuing to work on the smaller things that need to get done. Everything seems to be lining up, UTVs aside. Everything else seems to be lining up to be able to be down there for sure, to be able to operate from radio systems to temporary portable generator to kind of, power the building, and there's been a power loss, all that kind of stuff, backup generator. So everything is lining up. I've got the whole staff working on different parts of the projects to get everything, to make sure that everybody's got their little thing that they're working on, and we're keeping it up to date. So we do plan on being ready to go come July 1. For sure. We'll be running out of there July 1 regardless.
Can I have a quick question?
Yes,
So I walked in late, I apologize.
No, no, not a problem.
Because I know everybody wants to get out of here. This was turned down, the temporary building, correct?
Yes, it was.
Okay. I had a couple thoughts of this when we were talking about putting something temporary. And my concern is we're going to limit ourselves when we're building the block building on entrances of bringing material in and out unless we breach the island in between ingress egress. And our plans currently doesn't show that. I know we need to protect the truck. I mean, I want to protect the truck. We're gonna bring the truck. But we're gonna have to protect it in some way that whatever cover we use, and are we continuing looking for an alternative?
The direction of the board is for me to bring back to alternatives for that structure hopefully by our next regular board meeting.
Okay, and I got a great idea that I would like to talk to the board about was, I think we can save a buku of money, but accomplish what we're trying to do. One of my neighbors have got, it's just aluminum cardboard. Yep. It's simple. It meets the wind load. They're fairly, very inexpensive. Right. And quick. But we need to build it a little bit taller than the truck itself. Because if we have to bring dump trucks or delivery trucks or something, and they have to go, just like the fire truck has to go through, we're blessed our new truck is gonna be built lower profile. Right. But what we need to make sure is we build it high enough, chief, to get trucks through it. But it doesn't have to have just a side on it. My neighbor's has a top on it, and they brought the sides down 3/4 of the way. So if we want to cover the sides, we can cover the sides too. Or if we want to just put a lid, but we gotta keep it high enough to get material in and out. And there's a company in Fort Walton that builds these things, and they're pretty darn reasonable.
If you put me on it, I'll put that down as a opportunity, I'll do all the research, get it all together, so that way the board can make the call at that
Absolutely.
meeting. The only thing I'll throw out over that is, when we go July 1, we know there's not gonna be a building there. So the truck will sit outside.
Correct.
The concern, although it will always be the concern, is whether, if it's sitting outside, is security of the truck itself. The cab locks up, the drums are secure and all that kind of stuff. And we're gonna have a camera on it, because our security guys come in and do that on first.
And a motion detector. Somebody's out there.
Yeah, we will. So there is that, there'll always be that, but I'm all about saving the money and redirecting that to something else more permanent. So I'll bring that option back, absolutely. And I'll get up with you and make sure that I know where to go and who to talk to.
Because worst comes to worst, if we can't find something in a timely manner, there's absolutely no reason why we can't get a local engineer, I know I can find one in a 24-hour period, to say, design us 8 poles, 4 on each side, a couple bar joists, a little bit of tin that meets code.
Yep.
And we go build ourselves and be done with it.
Yep.
So we have options.
It definitely won't be $173,000, which is.
When I sat down and saw that, I'm looking at him, and he's, I'm going, wow,
Yeah.
wow.
But I don't have anything else for the board, so thank you for coming in though this morning.
Thank you.
One thing, I talked to my son Jim, who sits on the Harbor Waterways Board, and I presented the situation about the new dock that we're proposing. And even though the city ordinance goes, it's 125% of what your shoreline is what your dock can be, but which would not even come close to what we're proposing, but he ran it by the harbor board and, explained to them what was going on, and they blessed it. So,
Awesome.
that's a hurdle we're not gonna have to go through when we go through our
Nice.
permitting and everything, so.
Great idea, thank you.
You know, kind of preempt all this that's going on, so
Where'd you look at it?
that's one thing that would be out of the way back there.
Awesome.
That's great, Tommy. And did we agree, and just a quick follow-up, did we agree on having, for example, Davis to help us design and permit the dock? Did we get to that page or yet, or no?
No, sir. All we had before the board today was just to look at.
Is that something you could bring back at next meeting?
As soon as I can get a general price quote for Frank to do that, I'm gonna bring it before the board to ask to progress forward with that for sure.
Because if we can get that and the board would agree to it, I would take it to the city immediately and get it to into their blood that this is what's getting ready to happen soon. And then, of course, like he just said, his son's little group can start putting it we can move this thing forward.
Yeah, and I have had those
But
discussions
we need to do it though.
with Frank Davis. I've had discussions with Frank about his engineer designing and helping to, or guiding us through and submitting all the permits and all that, getting everything ready as we've talked about, so that when we're ready to build it out, we've already got the permitting and all that. So
Is it likely that that assistance would exceed $10,000?
if it does not, I can just pull the trigger on it, and I will.
Please.
But I need to get the price quote on it. If it does not, then I'll just pull the trigger and make the board aware. If it's over 10, I bring that to the board.
I'd be very comfortable with that if that's the way it lands.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm hoping that it will. And matter of fact, that was mentioned to Mr. Davis, is that if it's under 10, I can pull the trigger.
Good.
But you've got to let me know, this is what we want, is to go from draw it up, engineer it, get us through the DEP permitting process and get that approved for us to be able to move forward. That's the process I need a quote on.
I like it.
So he's working on it.
Good, thank you.
Good.
Exciting.
Yes, sir, I think so too.
All right. Anything else? All right, we'll close that part of the agenda and go to public comments. The floor is open for public comment. Being as there's none, we'll close public comments. Our next meeting is, special meeting is June the 2nd, 2021 at 9 a.m.
What time is the bid committee at June 2nd? What time is that meeting set up for? The mandatory?
9 a.m., I believe.
9 a.m.
9 a.m.
But that's the day before.
I thought it was June 2nd.
June 2nd is Wednesday.
It's the day before. The bidders meeting is June 1st.
Oh, I'm sorry, I put the wrong date. Okay, so thank you.
Okay. Nothing else, this meeting stands adjourned. I'm not gonna beat this thing up.
Thank you.
Sometimes your buddy over there hits you so hard, it scares the hell out of me.
Still recording.
I'm sorry.
Are we off?